What a game for our boys in blue in South Florida tonight as the St. Louis Blues defeated the Florida Panthers 4-1. I'm going to talk all about this game and why this is giving me hope for the future of the St. Louis Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues. The Blues had a great game tonight where they defeated the Florida Panthers 4-1 final score. The St. Louis Blues did come off of a really ugly game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, losing 6-1. So tonight's game was definitely much needed for at least me and probably you as well here in St. Louis. On today's episode of Locked On Blues, I am going to be talking to you about that Blues victory, looking ahead, and do we think Banny is still the right fit for this team after the win? So we did assess Banny after that loss. Now we're going to talk about after that win and what we think about him and what he is doing for the St. Louis Blues team. I do have to tell you, I am just so ecstatic that they were able to take control of the ice tonight down in South Florida. Before I dive deeper in today's episode, I want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Again, see Sleeper's terms of use for details. This is another episode where I am live here on YouTube. So hello to everybody that is watching on YouTube. I see some of you are watching. So feel free to let me know what you thought about tonight's victory over the Florida Panthers, and we can have some nice discussion here on Locked On Blues. So the biggest thing about today's game, or tonight's game, I should say, is I was really negative heading into it. I was so negative that I said on Twitter at Locked On Blues, I don't know if I want to do a pregame show because I don't have a good feeling about this game. And I love the Blues. Obviously, I want my Blues to win, but I felt so negative because coming off of a loss, a 6-1 loss, isn't the most reassuring feeling, right? And Hofer being in net tonight, going against the team that made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, I was like, okay, maybe this game is not going to go the Blues' way. But luckily, that was not the case tonight whatsoever. And I was wrong. And I like to be wrong when it's beneficial for the Blues. So I just want to put that out there that is why I'm doing a post-game show. It is because I didn't want to put out all this negative energy heading into the game just because for some reason I was convinced that the Blues were not going to win. But they did win. So I feel really good right now. So in the first period, no goals were scored. It was a back and forth first period, and it was 0-0. Personally, I wasn't surprised that no goals were scored in that first period just with how back and forth it was. But that all changed in the second period. 4 minutes in, Jordan Kyrou was able to get his 7th goal of the season. Assisting that goal was Robert Thomas because it is always Robert Thomas' season with his 21st assist on that goal. And then Pavel Buchnevich with his 14th assist. So it was 1-0 St. Louis. Well, after Kyrou scored, immediately Pavel Buchnevich scored, but unfortunately that was waved off for offsides. It sucked, right? I was like, okay, well, this really sucks because I love Bougie. It was a beautiful goal, but offsides, it is what it is. Well, Pavel Buchnevich was like, you know what? I'm going to score again, and I'm going to take back that 2-0 lead, and that's exactly what he did. On Buchnevich's goal, Jordan Kyrou assisted, getting his 16th assist of the season. And then we had Robert Thomas again with the other assist, getting his 22nd assist of the season. It doesn't stop there for RT tonight, though. So, unfortunately, the Florida Panthers, they do score, so then it's a 2-1 game. But luckily, towards the end of that second period, Alexei Turchenko was able to get the Blues back on top even more so with a 3-1 lead. And that was assisted by Marco Scandella and Braden Saad. So the Blues were heading into the final frame with a 3-1 lead over those Florida Panthers. But you cannot count the Panthers out. That is one thing I will say. So it was very important that the Blues did maintain their aggressiveness when they entered that final frame. Well, we had an empty net goal. And guess who scored? I'll give you one hit. It was Pavel Buchnevich, baby. His 12th goal of the season, assisted by Oscar Sundquist and Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas. 3 out of 4 goals tonight, RT assisted, and that was his 23rd of the season. So it was a huge night for not only Bush, but also for Robert Thomas. So the Blues were able to defeat the Panthers tonight. This was also a career high in saves with 37 saves for Joel Hofer in net. So it was a huge victory overall for the St. Louis Blues. The funniest thing about it is I was looking at some of the box score stuff after the game. I'm a big stat person because every single face-off tonight, for the most part, it looked like the Panthers won it. And it's funny. I was watching the game, right? And I'm like, there's no way. But that is true because the Panthers won 66% of the face-offs tonight. Florida also had more, obviously, shots on net tonight. And they both each only had 2 penalty minutes, so that wasn't too bad. And the penalties tonight were on Braden Saad for holding, and then one on the Panthers for slashing against Alexei Turchenko. So nothing too crazy in tonight's contest in terms of stat wise, but it is interesting, right? That heading into tonight's contest, I was so convinced. The Blues aren't going to win after that loss, but they did, and they proved that they are a team of resilience, that they are a team that you can't count out. This team is like a coin flip. And let me explain what I mean by that. You cannot go into any single St. Louis Blues game and say it's going to be an automatic win or an automatic loss. They beat the really good teams. They lose to the really bad teams. So it's one of those things where you have to ask yourself as a Blues fan, because we're all Blues fans, hopefully. Hopefully there's no Panthers fans hate watching this, but we're all Blues fans. And I think the biggest takeaway that I've had so far from this season is you truly just never know what's going to happen with this team. And I've accepted that. Right now on YouTube, we have a live comment from Ace Rob, and he says, "Let's go Blues. Let's go Blues." That was a huge, much needed win tonight for St. Louis. I have to say, though, that it is always sunny in Florida, and Sonny with the assist on the empty netter kind of is fitting. The Blues now have 33 points, but I don't think that they're going to lose any more point opportunities as they do take on the Chicago Blackhawks on Christmas Eve. Yes, that is December 23rd. And yes, I made that up with Christmas Eve. And they'll be back at Enterprise. I think the Blues are going to be winning that game. And hopefully, if all goes right in little hockey land, and Arizona loses, then the Blues will able to climb on top of them and get that 5th place in this Central Division. This is going to be a really tough couple months upcoming in the hockey world. Honestly, I am terrified. I really am. The January and February time period in hockey is probably the most competitive that it is ever going to be. So for the Blues' sake, I do hope that they are able to maintain that sense of competitiveness, but it is very concerning. And I'm going to talk about that upcoming, looking ahead, and what do I think about this team. But before we look ahead and we adventure off to the what ifs and the what can be's, I want to tell you about my friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts that you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Okay. So this is what Jeff on YouTube says. I love doing these live videos. I'm able to interact with you. So definitely make sure you comment. So Jeff said if they continue playing well and string together a good stretch of wins, I propose they bring back Gloria. Gloria, you're always on the run now. Okay, I can't sing. I have a mic, but I can't sing. Okay, so here's the thing. I do believe that the Blues are better than I thought they were. I know I'm saying that, but I do believe that. I'm going to talk about maybe Banny's effect onto this team, but I do think that the Blues, they do have talent. Obviously, the defense, I'm not going to lie. The defense sucks, okay? Like, it doesn't suck, but it's also not good. So just take that with a grain of salt. But I do think that the Blues overall do have more talent than they are led to believe. And that talent is all within the offense, by the way. I'm not saying that the defense is a super talented defense. No. So let's look ahead. Let's have a chit chat as to the Blues' upcoming schedule and why that win stretch period may not be possible. So, first thing is first. I am optimistic. I want to believe. And I do believe that the Blues will be able to defeat the Blackhawks Saturday night at Enterprise. The Blues will be hosting on December 27th the Dallas Stars. That's going to be a tough game. Stars are still such a good team. I'm like, I don't know. Then on the 29th of December, the Blues will be hosting the Avalanche. Again, I don't know. The Blues head out to Pittsburgh on December 30th to take on the Penguins. They could definitely win that game 100%. Oh, I don't know about this one. The Blues then will be hosting on January 4th the Canucks. Yep. Nope. Then the Blues will be going to Carolina to take on the Hurricanes on January 6th. No. The Blues will be hosting the Panthers on January 9th. They could definitely win that one. The Blues will be hosting the Rangers on January 11th. Now we're heading into the Metropolitan teams. Maybe not. No, the Rangers are also the best in the Metro. Then on the 13th, the Blues will be hosting the Bruins. No, that's the Atlantic. No. And then on the 15th of January, the Blues will be hosting the Philadelphia Flyers. And that could go either way. So when we talk about the upcoming stretch, and the reason why I talk so deeply into January is because this is a very difficult stretch of hockey coming up for St. Louis. I'm nervous. I don't want to be. I'm happy about the win tonight, and that's what I'm focusing on right now is what I saw on the ice tonight. I'm proud of Bucci, especially after being benched in the last game against the Lightning. But evidently, they do have a really tough stretch of hockey coming up. But the Blues are one of those teams where I feel like if they're playing teams that are significantly better than them, they play to those teams. They're a team that really plays down to teams and plays up to teams. And maybe it's because they haven't found their identity yet. Things are still changing. They have a new coach. I know there's a lot that is going on with the St. Louis Blues right now, but it is interesting looking at the schedule ahead because it is not an easy schedule by any means. I wish it was, but unfortunately, it is not. So this means that the Blues will have to play the way they did tonight for the next month. It is December 21st. Also, happy winter. Today is officially winter, I believe. And until they go maybe mid-January. I think that this is going to be the toughest stretch of hockey that they've endured. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that this is going to be a stretch of hockey where the Blues are going to surprise you or disappoint you, or you maybe don't have any expectations whatsoever and you're just kind of like, you know what, let's go see how this team does? Either way, I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be too excited. I just want to see how they are. So Ace Rob said it's a good stretch to see exactly what kind of team they are. And I do agree on that one. When you're playing such competitive teams throughout the NHL, this stretch of hockey is going to prove, are they a team that can fall apart and crumble, or are they a team that is resilient and maybe just held back some of that confidence? I personally think heading into this stretch of hockey, I do believe that they're going to surprise us in searching games. I do believe that they're going to have maybe a couple wins in a row, but I don't think it's going to be a team that's going to go like on a 10-game winning streak. I don't see that happening. Um, Either way, I'm just excited for some good old hockey. This is when the hockey gets competitive. And do not forget that March 8th deadline is approaching pretty quickly with the trade deadline. So right now, they're about to go in their holiday freeze, which means that no roster moves are going to be made until after the holiday season. But March is approaching, and that means trade deadline, which is one of my favorite times of the NHL season because it is so chaotic. And I do believe that they're going to make some trades in St. Louis. I have to believe that, right? Because like the defense, you need better defenders, like right. That's kind of like a thing. Either way, I sure hope they do. But if not, I won't be surprised because nothing about this team surprises me anymore. I'm going to be happy. This is a post game. We just won, and here I am being all negative. I'm telling you, the negativity is taking over, and it's almost the holiday season. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Okay. You know what's not ridiculous? It is Sleeper. A new NHL season brings all sorts of possibilities. Pavel Buchnevich could score 50 goals, and the Blues could hoist the Stanley Cup. And you could win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy hockey app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because of Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And this is where players like a Robert Thomas and Oscar Sundqvist, a Joel Hofer, Jordan Binghamton, Pavel Buchnevich, you name it, could win you some money. That is right. So will they record more or less in their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game? Well, if they do, that's how you win your money. So to win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Blues fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail in your pick so you can start winning big. Use promo code Locked On NHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. Ooh, okay. Now that we got our betting shoes on, do we think Banny is the right fit for this team after the win? So yeah, no, I do. I'm gonna tell you why though. I'm like a little bit hesitant. I'm obviously still upset about Berube. That's not a secret. But I am still upset about Berube. I'm not going to be something that's going to dwell every single episode about it. Right now, Banny's 3-1 with this team. I don't have anything against Drew Bannister at all. I think the players are actually responding to him. I was actually a little bit surprised about a couple of things that he's done. I'm surprised about the lineup changes. I'm surprised about everything, honestly. When Bush got benched the other night against Tampa, I was kind of annoyed. I know that he made some mistakes, but I'm like, you're gonna really bench Pavel Buchnevich, and luckily tonight he had probably his best game of the season. I don't know what exactly Drew Bannister has done to this team, but he's making them play better. And I know that it's still early and I can't truly judge this coach yet. I can't say that he's the right fit. I can't say that he isn't. I don't know him well enough to know. But by that, I mean, obviously, with the Thunderbirds, I knew him there, but it takes time to see how a team responds to a coach because you have that adrenaline of having a new coach. I have to play well to impress the coach, right? So with that loss the other night, it just was such a big loss. And I didn't like that they weren't even competing, but at the same time, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose. Sometimes the score doesn't really matter in that sense. But I don't think that this is a coach that isn't going to resonate with the players. I think that he's already shown that. And we'll see going forward. Again, this is a big stretch of hockey coming up for the Blues. And it's going to be interesting to see the lineup changes. I'm sure things are going to change. I was actually very surprised, though, that he did put Hofer in net tonight. I know that Binner had a tough game. He ended up getting pulled after the Lightning went up 5-0. But to put Hofer in a game against the Eastern Conference champions, that's so weird to say. Who would have thought that happened last season? Not me. But I was really surprised about that, but it ended up working out in the Blues' favor with them winning tonight's contest 4-1. Again, if you're joining, this is the Blues post-game show here, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network for Locked On Blues. And I think in tonight's game, the most impressive part, honestly, was the story of Bush and just his resilience on the ice. So if I had to give a player of the game, it would obviously go to Pavel Buchnevich because he had a spectacular game. But most importantly, whatever Bannister said to him after he got benched, he took it with grace and he played a heck of a game tonight. Ace says, I want to see how it goes over next month before I decide about a coach. I've still seen some laziness at times, and that's on the players, but he needs to motivate them so they're not so lazy. And yeah, I talked about this too. The laziness I definitely saw was against the Tampa Bay Lightning. The thing with the Blues is that you can tell when they give up when they're on the ice. Like, it's very obvious. It's not like they're still skating and trying. Like, it just seems like they're just there. I don't know how else to explain it, but it seems like sometimes their competitive side goes away, which I'm not a fan of. I believe that you should be able to maintain that competitiveness throughout the whole entire game. Tonight, though, I did see a competitive St. Louis Blues team, which is exactly why they won. If they're able to maintain that competitiveness, they're playing with aggression, they're able to make some good hits, take some nice shots, they're going to win games. And that's all it is. Defense steps up, team steps up. That's basically the keys to success. So again, a very successful night for the St. Louis Blues as they now leave Florida to head back to St. Louis. And they're going to be hosting, as I said, those Chicago Blackhawks on the 23rd, looking for another back-to-back win before it is Christmas. I will be talking to you tomorrow for an Are We Feeling Blues Friday. And just to give you a little bit of a scheduling update, I will be having episodes all throughout next week, like usual, still. I don't plan on taking any episodes off. Well, Christmas does fall on a Monday. Maybe I'll do like a Christmas themed episode if I'm like free, but we'll see. I will keep you posted. If not, I will do double episodes on one of the other days later in the week. That way, you and I, we can talk some blues like usual. All right, I will talk to you tomorrow. Again, make sure you subscribe here on YouTube as we're almost at 900, which is unbelievable. All right, St. Louis, and just like how I end every single episode, let's go Blues.